It's the fourth and final quarterfinal game on this SFL Sunday night in Baltimore, and it features a clash of two league titans. For the third straight season, the Scorpions face off with the Vultures, but this time it's not for a championship, it's for a spot in the semifinals. Baltimore versus Arizona Mark III comes your way next on SFL YouTube. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Sports Gamers Online Stadium in Baltimore, alongside producer extraordinaire Cameron Irvine, our statisticians Justin Reside and Zach Hamburger, and my partner, the SFL Broadcaster Analyst of the Year, Cameron Duty. I'm Tim Hackett. Happy to have you with us. You're watching the SFL Season 21 quarterfinals live on YouTube. Thanks for joining us wherever you're joining us from. Cameron, this matchup has been looked forward to since last season's championship game. It has been looked forward to all week. Once the quarterfinal matchups were determined, we've had three really good games this weekend already. All eyes on this matchup as these two storied franchises meet up once again.
Yes, sir, Tim. It's great to be with you, buddy. And to quote that famous saying, I've been waiting all day for Sunday night, because this game right here is going to be, in my opinion, excellent. Like you said, we've talked about this. All eyes have been on this. A big focus is these two teams meeting up once again. The top two rushing teams in the league. That's one place to start. We got a lot to talk about today, Tim. Let's get going.
These two teams met up in the last two SFL championship games, and they meet in the final quarterfinal game of this new era of the Simulation Football League. The first season of it, Arizona's on the road. They will get the ball to start off, and a good-looking return here for Ryan Arlovsky, the rookie kick returner, with a spark plug to start off this quarterfinal game all the way out to the 43-yard line for the rookie.
And what do you look for, Tim? I mean, you want a spark. You want to come out. Of course, being Arizona, you need to set the tone, and what a way to do it right here. Great job bouncing out to the outside and really getting this team fired up.
Well, it's the matchup between the number 5 seeds, the Arizona Scorpions, and the number 4 seeds, the Baltimore Vultures. Exact same record in the regular season at 9-3. Arizona picked up its 10th win of this season by escaping, really, the number 12 seed Minnesota, which somehow, through some funkiness in the league, made the playoffs despite being 4-8 and losing to Arizona a couple of weeks prior. They gave the Scorpions all they could handle last round, but as Arizona was still able to win. Big reason why they're here is this guy, DJ Moses, the league's leading running back, with a big gain out across enemy territory on the first play from scrimmage.
Yeah, and Tim, this brings us to our first key point in this game. The top two rushing teams in the league right here in yards, and that's the reason why. On the Arizona side, you've got a guy like DJ Moses. Fast, elusive, give him the ball. He is the bell cow for this team and already going to the ground early on. It's what they can do really well.
Over 2,000 rushing yards this season for Moses, the only player in the SFL to do that, but he was really bottled up last week against Minnesota. 25 carries, just 63 yards, 2.5 yards per carry. On the season, he averaged 6.5. A strong run for him to start. Ashley Jackson with her first throw, swatted away. Intended for TJ Punk, veteran wide receiver. Good coverage, second down.
And that's one thing that I think Baltimore will look to expose right here is the passing game. We know that it's a little bit lacking in some areas as opposed to what Baltimore standards here as far as yards goes and things like that. They're looking to improve that in today's game with a little more efficiency down the field.
It was a gain of 20 for Moses to start off the day, and we don't imagine that'll be the last time he does something like that. But again, Minnesota figured out something to do to slow him down. See if Baltimore can emulate that. Jackson's pass swatted and nearly picked on the carom. Troy Loshaw had the first heads to it. Third down for Jackson and the Scorpions.
Yeah, a great job by Loshaw right there coming up, getting that big mitt up to just bat it down. And so this brings up a very pivotal third down already. You set the tone with some great offensive production, some good runs, and a great return. You got to keep it going to counteract what Baltimore's really going to probably come out with here.
Arizona was the best third down offense in the league this season. They've got a 3rd and 10. Jackson will fire again, and it's knocked away again. Three straight incompletions. This one broken up by Ben Stackenpaper, and a third down failure for the Scorpions on their first opportunity.
Being stacking paper is one that we've talked about all year long, coming up right when they need a big deflection or an interception. He always seems to be the guy right there at the football. Interesting thing to note, they did go 3 straight pass attempts after they started with a really good run. Kind of surprising.
No doubts. And Jackson was top 5 in the league in completion percentage, but 0 for her first 3 tonight. And here comes a punt from Travius James, who just joined this team in week 7, and a big hit on the returner. That's Ivory Irvin. Zach Hamburger, the new member of this defensive backcourt, with the hits. James, 3 punts last week against Minnesota. Early punt here, but not much on the nets. That gives the Baltimore Vultures, this storied franchise. You know about them by now if you're a fan of this league. They have won 4 straight SFL titles, unprecedented, and they're on the path to their 5th straight, which they hope begins tonight. They are almost impossible to defeat here at home. Nearly 90% all time in Baltimore in the franchise's history. Jack Wigmore's first pass of the day is hauled in. Jumping catch by Mac Chima right at the sticks for a first down.
Mac Chima coming off of a really good regular season and keeping the tempo going here in the postseason, closing in on 1,000 yards on the year. He's well over 800 at this point. And, you know, that just kind of speaks to the productivity and how much Wigmore relies on him right out of the gate. He takes a look at his direction.
That was rookie corner Zachary Hamburger, who just made the hit on special teams with the hit there on defense. Man in motion for Baltimore. That's Caesar Ackerman, the tight end. Moves to Jack Wigmore's right side, the lefty quarterback. Sets and throws. It's Ackerman on the catch and a 13-yard gain. So 2 double-digit completions for Wigmore. Jackson failed on her first 3. Wigmore hit on his first 2.
And that's something, you know, this Baltimore team, I think the word complete is the perfect word to describe them, and has been for years, because while they have a Hall of Fame backfield, they've got a great air game right there. And like you see, anybody out of that backfield can catch the football, and that just speaks to the totality of this team and why they're so difficult to defend. They can do it on all sides.
Ivory Irvin and Mac Chima have been the 2 figureheads of this passing offense all season. They combined for just under 2,000 receiving yards, as Cameron mentioned, but a lot of weapons for Wigmore, one of the best in the league. And he hits Ivory Irvin with his first catch, dragging a defender to the 35-yard line. That's Eddie Gage, the Hall of Famer, on the stop. But another big completion for Wigmore. He's getting everybody involved on this first drive.
You know, that's one of the things I talked to Tim Johnson earlier today, and he made the comment that, you know, they would have to square up against Gage at some point. But the thing is trying to keep the ball protected, not turn it over. And right there, a good job of dropping that ball into their receiver and winning the offensive battle there at that point. So really great tempo starting off for Baltimore here and looking very impressive.
One of the things that you reported from Eddie Gage is they were focused on stopping the run. Baltimore will throw for the 4th straight time, and Wigmore hits Caesar Ackerman for the 2nd time this drive. Baltimore is in the red zone on just 4 plays.
Expect the unexpected with Baltimore. Like you said, they talked about focusing on the run game. You know it will come into play sooner or later. But Baltimore, simply put, has come out swinging. I personally like the idea. The reason why, you know, you had the week there to kind of rest and recuperate. Sometimes you get a little rusty in the off weeks. No, instead, come out, fire, and get yourself good and warmed up and ready to go. And they look like they have not missed a beat at all.
Yeah, no doubt. No rust to be found for Baltimore here on their first offensive and defensive possessions. Wigmore backsteps, fires, another completion for Wigmore. That's Jackson Roberts on the catch. The number 2 tight end had just 5 catches all season. This one gives Baltimore a 1st and goal.
Spreading the ball around, like we said, so many hands in this on this lineup here, this roster that can, as we said, do just that. Really hard to defend. Baltimore knows this, so they're really attacking this Arizona defense that really has done pretty well this year in the pass defense, but man, they're making them work for it today. Now, will we see the run? You got to think so.
Arizona's been a very complete defense all season long, but been picked apart so far here. The first run of the day, they'll stretch it outside, and T-Roy Gaines has nowhere to go. Our first opportunity really to talk about this Baltimore run offense, Cameron, because it's about as unique as it gets. They have a running back and a fullback in name only, and Warren Murray and T-Roy Gaines, but Gaines is your fullback, and he has outworked Murray on the balance of the season, and it really hasn't been close. So Gaines with the first carry out of the backfield, the first run for Baltimore. Second and goal from the 1. They'll run it again. Gains again. Outside, and this time it works. A masterful first drive from the Vultures. A TD for T-Roy to start off the quarterfinal.
High stepping into the end zone right there, Tim, and that goes right to the point that you were talking about, my friend. Simply put, that experience that T-Roy Gaines provides, it's so hard to go away from him. I mean, 11 years all with Baltimore, a Hall of Famer, fantastic numbers, 3-time All-Star, and, you know, he just knows how to get it done. A real leader for this team, and that's why you continue to see his name called.
PAT from Shark Tarkington is up and good, and Gaines it's been documented over the years, Cameron, but his role on this franchise, like you said, he's been a part of it for now 11 seasons. It's the only team he's been on. You get a look at him there on the sideline waving back to the cameras. He's played in a lot of different roles. Number 1 running back, number 2 running back, fullback, kind of an ancillary role. And in this year, he is the team's fullback, but like we said in name only, he is the featured back. He's out-carried Warren Murray, and it hasn't been close. He's got 100 more carries, 550 more yards, and 20 rushing touchdowns this season against 6 on the balance of the year for Warren Murray. So it's really been the T-Roy Gaines show on the balance of the season. And in Baltimore's first opportunities to run the ball, they give it to Gaines twice, and it works.
You know, one of the great things about it, Tim, that you mentioned, and you brought it up right there, my friend, is that he has been willing to do anything that this team has asked of him. That's where that leadership comes from. They know that they can depend on him, not only if they ask him to be the number 2 running back, to be the fullback, to be the main guy. He always shows up. And so when you need a big play, you go to the guy who has always showed up when you've needed him most.
A lot of guys on this Baltimore franchise that have adopted personas like that. Ashley Jackson, with her team now trailing, will fire across her body, and Donnie Hands, who had a brilliant game last week to get Arizona to this quarterfinal, makes the catch. First of the day for the Scorpions, but Igor Barbatov, their standout tackle, is down on the play.
Yeah, unfortunately, you hate to see that in a high-stakes game such as this, seeing an injury happen so soon in this game. Let's talk about that play real quick, and what a great job by Jackson coming back out. And really, you know, that first drive did not go the way that she or anyone had expected. Instead, they come back, guns a-blazing, and I think that's what you need to kind of shake some of the nerves off here.
Agreed completely. And just about every game here in the postseason, especially in this round, we've seen a serious injury that has changed things up, if not outright derailed things. And Barbatov is a big loss for the Scorpions. Jackson's pass is right into a tight window. That is caught by James Hands. So the 2 Hands brothers getting involved. Jackson was 0 for her first 3. Links up on her next 2, both for double-digit gains. Both Hands brothers involved. Arizona is cooking.
Oh, you are in good hands with both the Hands brothers right there. Listen, I'm full of puns. I can't help myself. But it honestly, it's the truth. I mean, these guys have been fantastic and so reliable for Jackson, and you'll expect to see more of it tonight.
Welcome back to this franchise. They were away for a little while, but now they're back with a vengeance. Moses gets that carry, and then he is wrestled down with a flag. Our first penalty of the night. Face mask against the defense. Wow. We just saw number 56 for Arizona leave the field. That is Alvin Mack, standout linebacker for Baltimore, number 56 in the black and red. First penalty, free 15 yards for the Scorps. They didn't need any help on this drive.
No, they did not, and instead that already puts them into red zone territory right here. A big momentum shift from what we saw earlier.
Jackson will throw again into tight coverage, and James Hands makes the catch past that coverage. These two teams have elite secondaries that have been part of this league and their respective teams for a long time, half a dozen years or more, and Hands goes past a couple of those defenders for a first down.
I love that route. I thought that was just a great little end right there. Enough cushion to really allow Jackson to thread the needle with a beautiful pass right there, and Arizona now cooking.
How about this response drive for the Scorpions? After giving up that masterful drive to Baltimore, they're right in the red zone again. DJ Moses with the carry, and a nice run for Moses to start things off. Tackled down by Al Walker. And nobody rushed for more yards this season than DJ Moses, 2,078. Nobody else had more than 2,000. There were 4 others with over 1,900, but no one else over that elite 2,000-yard plateau this season. Just his second carry tonight. Here's the give to the fullback, and Williams will score. Justin Williams caps off a perfect answer drive from Arizona.
And a great play call, too, right there. I think a lot of us were expecting it to go to DJ Moses just because of the stats that you had mentioned, Tim. And then, again, a great changeup there going to a very, very reliable fullback in Justin Williams. A tough guy to bring down right there, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling into the end zone. We are an extra point away from a tie ball game, my friend.
If this is how the rest of this game is going to go, then strap in, because that is about as good of a response drive as you can possibly cook up. That penalty on Alvin Mack helped, to be sure, but other than that, I mean, just brilliant from Jackson and finished off by Justin Williams. We mentioned that T-Roy Gaines, he's not a true fullback, but he is listed as a fullback and is the most productive fullback in the league. Justin Williams is a true fullback, and he is about as good as it gets from that position this season. 626 rushing yards and 10 rushing touchdowns for Williams this season for Arizona, and he's on the board here in the playoffs. Baltimore will start off their first traditional drive from the 29. Aerial coverage of tonight's game provided by Dags DroneWorks, aerial photography and videography services for real estate, events, marketing, and more. Learn more at dagsdroneworks.com. Well, this Baltimore team in the playoffs, once again, no surprise. They're the number 4 seed in the postseason, 9-3 overall, first in the Atlantic Division, 2 games over DC. Same record as they had last season, of course, en route to their 4th straight league championship. They're able to win 3 more games between now and the end of the month. They'll do something that no other team has done, win 5 in a row. Jack Wigmore absolutely obliterated. What a hit! And Wigmore decked for the first time today.
Shot out of a cannon was the Hall of Famer Hunter Norwood. Take a look at this. I mean, literally just throws the defender off of him, and literally it's almost like a sumo wrestling move right there. Just completely walloped Wigmore. Didn't even have time to really look up to set his feet to go through the motions to see if there was anybody even downfield. He found himself on the turf before you could even blink.
Hall of Famer Hunter Norwood had 5 sacks in the regular season on the board here in the playoffs. Wigmore gets it all back as he hits Mac Chima in stride, and Chima across the midfield line. It was 2nd and 16. It did not matter for Baltimore.
And that right there is the thing that makes this team so frustrating to play against, to defend against. You get them put in a hole early on, like we said, the big sack right there. Nothing seems to faze them. Of course, why would it? I mean, you're a 4-time champion, and you're searching for your 5th. But I mean, just the poise that this team has. Such a good, sturdy organization. They know they can get it done.
32-yard catch and run for Chima. Here's a strong toss to T-Roy Gaines. Gaines slips out of the tackle and gets to the outside. One man to beat up the sidelines goes T-Roy Gaines, and he is finally pushed down by linebacker Sean Moore, saving what would have been another touchdown for T-Roy, but it's still the longest run of the night, and it gives Baltimore 1st and goal.
Yeah, Sean Moore was literally the last hope right there for that Arizona defense. And, I mean, he had to go a long way to track him down. But, boy, he did a fantastic job because, like we said, I could tell that's the thing about T-Roy Gaines. You watch this guy, he can continue to churn those legs, get out of tackles, and then it just kind of adds to the momentum. He gets faster, harder to bring down. And, we see it time and again. And T-Roy Gaines already putting on a show this evening.
Could have been tackled twice. Instead gets Baltimore to the 8. They'll toss it out to Gaines this time, and this time Arizona is able to make the tackle. That is standout strong safety Eddie Gage, who also doubles as the team's head coach. You get a look at him there on the hit. So first catch for Gaines. Did not do that all that much this season. 30 catches and was 4th on the team in receiving yards in the regular season. Coming up on 2 minutes left in the first quarter. Baltimore knocking on the doors once again. Toss it out. Warren Murray with his first carry. And Murray slowed up just barely by Eddie Gage. And that was enough for Sean Moore to come in and clean it up.
Yeah, nice job. Nice tandem there between Eddie Gage and Sean Moore coming in, doing a nice job on that right side for the last 2 plays, really containing this Baltimore offense. Pivotal 3rd down here.
That run for T-Roy Gaines went for a gain of 25. 3rd and goal from the 5. Wigmore sprint out to his left, and the lefty will toss it out to Gaines, and Arizona was ready for that one. Everett Garrison, who had the game-sealing interception in the end zone to get Arizona into this game last week with the hits. Arizona makes the stand inside the 5-yard line, and that'll force out Shark Tarkington.
A great play right there, obviously. Nothing more needs to be said. Just great pursuit, great poise.
Here comes the Shark, one of the league's all-time great field goal kickers, all-time league leader in both attempts and makes, and a chip shot from 23 yards is good. Baltimore leads for the second time tonight. Arizona is here because they outlasted Minnesota last week. They scored a go-ahead touchdown through Donnie Hands with 1:05 left in the fourth quarter. But then Minnesota, a 4-8 team, marched down the field with a minute on the clock and got a goal-to-go situation. Arizona stopped them 4 times, and on that fourth opportunity, Everett Garrison with the interception in the end zone to seal the win. No interception that time, but it was 3 stops on a 1st and goal against this elite Baltimore team to hold them to a field goal. And so Ashley Jackson and company will take the ball over for the 3rd time. You typically say, Cameron, when you introduce an offense that it's led by the quarterback, and maybe that's true for Arizona on an emotional or maybe a spiritual sense, but in a literal sense, this offense very much led by DJ Moses.
DJ Moses, he is the man who, as we said all year long, been their workhorse. And when you are such as that, a lot is asked of you, and he has answered the call wonderfully. Now, this passing game, I think we need to focus on, see if they can continue to keep it going as well.
DJ Moses will get the carry on 1st down and a nice stretch up the middle for a gain of 8. Here is the Arizona offense for head coach Eddie Gage. You just heard from Jackson, and for Moses, Justin Williams has the touchdown. Wide receivers, the brothers Donnie Hands and James Hands, 11 and 12, along with Ryan Arlovsky and TJ Punk. Tight ends, Will Todd and Adam Grabowski. Offensive line, center Gene Benazzi, tackles Igor Barbatov, Sean Crooked, EJ DeQ, and Patrick Kelly. One of the best offensive lines, if not the best unit in the SFL this season, run block and pass block. They will try to block here for Moses, and he's able to shimmy up and barely get that 1st down. Just barely, but good enough.
I think he got that forearm just enough past the marker there to warrant that 1st down. And, like I said, this rushing attack, you're seeing it now. It's so prevalent in what they do and how important it is to this team. But, also, Ashley Jackson's going to be asked to make some big-time passes today. It's going to be important to see if they can respond if this running game begins to stiffen a little bit.
Gain of 5 for Moses on the fresh set. Defense for Baltimore when we return into the second quarter. Eddie Gage, the head coach and co-owner of this team, is always quick to shout out his offensive line. He calls them the Red Sea, parting the ways for Moses to run through and keeping Ashley Jackson upright. They have been great at both of those all year long, but missing starting tackle Igor Barbatov as we reach the end of the first quarter. Did we expect anything different? A great game so far. Baltimore 10, Arizona 7. You're watching the SFL quarterfinals on YouTube. Happy to have you with us alongside Cameron Duty with Zach Hamburger, Justin Reside, and Cameron Irvine. I'm Tim Hackett. Final quarterfinal game of this first season of the new era of the SFL. 2 semifinals coming your way a week from tonight, next Sunday, ahead of the league championship in a couple of weeks. Here's a give to Justin Williams, and Williams with the run of 1st down and more out inside the 40-yard line. Brilliant run. Elijah Warfield on the hits, and Williams, who had the touchdown for the Scorps in the first quarter, has a 1st down to start off the second.
You just have to feel that Arizona, they've heard about the entire week, the 2-head tandem of Baltimore right there with T-Roy Gaines and Warren Murray. And, they're sitting there thinking, hey, we got some firepower of our own as a two running back tandem there with DJ Moses and Justin Williams. And I tell you what, they came prepared to play today, and both of them doing a great job finding a hole and accelerating.
Jackson, deep bomb, and actually she looked kind of like she was going deeper than she did and ends up getting a 15-yard gain to James Hands. Ho-hum, it looked like she was going for it all, Cameron, but that'll work. It was Troy Loshaw on the last hit, not Warfield, but either way, 15 yards and a 3rd gain for James Hands tonight.
I thought that was a great job of Hands, again, getting in front of the defender there and getting a step ahead of the coverage. Again, that's something he's very good at and reliable in that sense, is that he usually doesn't do a lot to get himself in trouble or to cause his quarterback to make a bad throw.
And that was a throw from Jackson. There were two receivers right there. Donnie Hands was there along with Will Todd. And really between both of them went off of a body and it's second down.
Kind of seemed like maybe a busted play just a little bit there with the defenders so closely together. Of course, the defensive line did a nice job of not giving Jackson a lot of time to look where she wanted to throw it at.
What do you know? Arizona in the red zone again. Are we surprised? They'll swing it out on a toss to Moses. Moses breaks through the first tackle and then is brought down after a gain of 6. Quickly, here is the Baltimore defense for Tim Johnston, who runs the show on this side of things. On the line is Joe Duncan, Al Walker, Ralph Leopold, Nate Brown, and Suron Yates IV. Linebackers Frank Smith, Keenan Samuels, and Alvin Mack. Cornerbacks Ben Stackenpaper, Enzo Bolt, Elijah Warfield, and Marvin Himes. With standout safeties Giovanni Bolt and Troy Loshaw. Those two guys have been doing their thing together in this backfield for a long time. Loshaw shows blitz and comes back as Jackson rolls out to her right. Ashley to the end zone and throws it through a tight window to TJ Punk. Touchdown, Arizona. They've got the lead for the first time.
My goodness, what a play. Let's give all kinds of credit here to Ashley Jackson for really making a fantastic play and an even more fantastic throw. Take a look at what really took place at rolling out to find time, giving just enough time for Punk to run the length of the end zone there, just kind of towing that white line and coming down with a beautiful reception. That is how you respond. If you're playing a championship team, you need to really be able to take advantage of any opportunity, and this was advantageous. Baltimore held to a field goal. Arizona comes back and scores a touchdown.
We just talked about those two superstar safeties for Arizona. Troy Loshaw, who's in his 11th season in the league, and Bolt, who's in his 12th, the last 11 of which have come here with Baltimore, including this season. Bolt was the one in coverage, was draped all over TJ Punk, the do-everything safety, 6-time All-Star Giovanni Bolt, powerless to defend that throw from Ashley Jackson. It was placed so perfectly, and that gives Arizona their first lead of this quarterfinal. Back and forth we go. No surprise whatsoever. Daley Holder is on this return for Baltimore. That has not happened often this season. It has typically been David Anderson. Ivory Irvin has returned kicks at some point this year as well, but it is Daley Holder on this one. Kind of an interesting little wrinkle here for the Vultures to start things off, and that is how Baltimore will start off this drive.
Obviously looking to see if they can get an advantage there in the return game, kind of keep this kick return or this defense of Arizona there on their toes coming out of the special teams unit. Now it's going to be interesting to see how Baltimore responds. Will they continue to stay aggressive with an air attack, or are we going to see them go back more to the ground and pound here that they are so famous for?
They've balanced it out extremely nicely to start things off tonight. Here's a handoff to T-Roy Gaines. A decent gain for Gaines will stop him after a gain of 3. Here is the offense for Baltimore, which is run by Dr. Thomas Paternity, better known as T-Pat in the SFL universe. You've heard from Wigmore, Warren Murray, T-Roy Gaines by now. Wide receivers, Ivory Irvin, Mac Chima, Daley Holder, and David Anderson. Tight ends, Caesar Ackerman and Jackson Roberts both have a catch. Offensive line after this play. 3 in the backfield. Gaines gets the give. Gaines breaks the tackle of Garrison, gets outside, stays in bounds, breaks away from Eddie Gage, and here he goes again. T-Roy Gaines across midfield. He's had a super first half already, and he adds to it with another huge run.
My goodness. I mean, that is the stuff of Hall of Famers right there, and of course, that's exactly what T-Roy Gaines is, a Hall of Famer because of those very reasons. Take a look at that. Approaching 100 yards already, rushing, and that's the reason why. Take a look at this. All of the tackles he's able to shake off here, the stiff arms. I mean, the guy just won't go down, even at the end of that run, still standing upright when they pushed him out of bounds. It's hard to stop a train. Let's just put it that way, and that's what they're having to do here.
The Gaines train starting to take off, and you saw Warren Murray was one of his lead blockers. Again, he's the tailback by trade. He's quite a bit smaller than T-Roy, and he threw one of the blocks. Wigmore's going to fire that one into tight coverage, and that's hauled in by Baltimore's number 88. We just saw TJ Punk, Arizona's number 88, make a great catch in traffic. Mac Chima says, I can do that too. First down.
A run that T-Roy Gaines set up just as he did the play before, that allows a passing play like that to develop. You start getting that defense thinking, okay, watch the run, watch the run. They're breaking some big runs on us. You expect it, you anticipate it, and then they mow you down with a great pass play. Man, it's very difficult to defend a team so two-headed as that.
Third double-digit catch of the day for Chima.
Oh,
Wigmore goes back that way, and somehow Ivory Irvin makes a sensational catch. They'll mark him just short of the sticks, but what a snag by Irvin.
these two teams came to play. Not only did they come to play, they came to show off, too, just how good they are. Some of the best athletes in the game are out here on this field tonight, folks, and it shows.
4 versus 5 seeds, identical regular season records. Baltimore's favored by just 2.5, about as small of a spread as you're going to see in the SFL. Second and inches, Gaines with the give, Gaines with the first down, and Baltimore with a first and goal once again. The offensive line for the Vultures, Ray Arnold, Olivia Bleeker, Alden Bleeker, Jay Arnold, and Don Johnson. A family affair on this Baltimore offensive line. They've helped pave the way for that stat line for T. Roy Gaines. He has been tremendous so far, as per usual. Nobody at the top of the field. They'll toss it to the strong side. Gaines slips a tackle, gets to the sideline, and he takes himself out of bounds, really. Gain of 1.
Pretty good job of containment there by the Arizona defense. Good pursuit. Didn't give him an opportunity to turn upfield. Speaking of stellar and just doing a great job today, something we may not have really touched on yet, Jack Wigmore, 10 for 10 so far in this game.
Ray Colston told us all of his first passes were for double-digit yards. That catch by Irvin technically went for 9. That's his only pass completion that has not gone for double-digit yards. Gaines again. Gaines dives, touchdown to T. Roy Gaines. His second of the night. Baltimore back in front.
He's just that type of guy. T. Roy Gaines is the type of guy that when he bounces to the outside like that, you better watch out. When he gets out of containment, so hard to bring down, and that's the reason. Really good at following his blocks, and like you said, look at that right there. Moore and Murray again paving the way. These two play better. They have a chemistry that is undeniable, and some of the best run and blocking that you'll see in this entire game. Another beautiful job right there on the offense.
Talk about stepping into your role. Again, Gaines has been the workhorse. They call Warren Murray the war horse, dating back to his time in Houston where he was a standout there. But if he's the war horse, then Gaines this year has been the workhorse. Again, 100 more carries on the balance of the season compared to what Murray did. 20 touchdowns against 6, and so far here in playoff game number 1, touchdowns, Gaines 2, Murray 0. He's only got 1 carry, but on that drive alone, he sprung a couple of critical blocks, including the one that you just pointed out to help Gaines get into the end zone for good. Just the ability, the willingness, the dedication for both of these players to jump into whatever role they're asked to do has been pretty remarkable. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine, Tim. I agree 100%. It speaks to the culture of this Baltimore team, this organization. You know, it starts in the front office, and it makes its way down to this locker room. It's a willing to work together for the attainable goal.
DJ Moses on this carry and a gain of 8. Go ahead.
And, you know, like I said, though, it starts at the top and continues to work its way down. When you see, you know, front office leadership as they have had for all these years, you know, the players feed off of that, and you learn that it's not a game that has the letter I in it anywhere. It's we, it's team, there's no me in this game, and the better you work together, the better the results that you produce.
DJ Moses on the toss, shakes out of the first hit and is able to barely get a first down as he ushers Frank Smith across the magic yellow line. You mentioned this game doesn't have the letter I in it. It does have 2 L's in it, football, and interestingly enough, that is what Baltimore had to start this season. And for a lot of people, the sky was falling. And 4-time league champs, we move to a new game, a new era of the SFL. Baltimore loses its first 2 games of the season, something they barely ever do, lose 2 in a row, so they start 0-2, but since then they've only lost once, and they're in the lead here in the second quarter. Ashley Jackson's going to step up and run, shimmies and slides for a gain of 6. Ashley has been public sometimes this season and in the past asking, can I run more? And Eddie Gage says, no, you are way too valuable to be a running quarterback, and she shows what she can do.
Well, a nice job right there, kind of taking what the defense gave her. Basically, everybody was blanketed downfield, so they just really left her no choice but to try to scramble and make something out of nothing.
Here's Moses again, and Moses will get the first down just barely. We mentioned it a lot. Cameron mentioned it right off the top. There's no burying the lead here. These are the top 2 running teams in the SFL, and we mentioned they call Warren Murray the warhorse. It has really been a 2-horse race in that department all season. Baltimore was the league leader for a long time until DJ Moses helped vault Arizona into the lead, and they finished number 1 for the 2nd straight season. Jackson showing off the passing game as well, hits TJ Punk for the 2nd time, and it's a first down for the Scorps. Jackson's numbers this year are down compared to what she's done, partially because of how amazing Moses was this season, Cameron, but so far today, after that first drive, she's been almost perfect.
Absolutely. I think, as you mentioned, being able to rely on someone as DJ Moses has certainly caused a drop in numbers. At the same time, though, it also kind of will keep Ashley Jackson more at rest and a little bit more healthy, if you will, when it comes to having to make the big throws, really not wear herself out, having to go 30, 40 passes a game.
No doubt. Under pressure here, she's going to shake out, and she will be taken down. This team allowed the fewest sacks in the league this regular season, only 3 in 12 games, and Nate Brown with the hits, bringing down Ashley Jackson for a loss of 8.
Yeah, big Nate Brown, 6'2", 303 pounds, all 7 seasons here with Baltimore. And, you know, a big guy, as we said, over 300 pounds, but fast, really fast off the line, great pursuit. You've seen him make plays like that all year long, and just does a good job of penetrating that offensive line.
I was just about to say, after you said what you said on the last play, that Arizona's done a great job of keeping her upright, not there. And now Jackson throws a pick. Something else that didn't happen all that much this regular season. Giovanni Boltz, who was victimized on the touchdown pass, with a little bit of revenge, the first takeaway of the night.
It's a trickle-down effect is what it is, Tim. You know, you get the big sack, you put them behind the sticks, then you start having to try to make up extra yardage, so you have to go to a different part of the playbook you don't really necessarily want to have to go to, and then things like that. The defense smells blood in the water, and you get a turnover like that. Baltimore notorious for doing really drive killers such as that right there.
No doubt about it. Arizona actually had a negative turnover differential in the regular season. Bit of a surprise. Wigmore fires. Irvin's wide open. He has to fall back to make the catch, but does so for a gain of 14. Another big gain for Wigmore, who's now 11 of 11 to start off this game.
Arizona is very fortunate that they didn't catch this in stride. If they had, it would have been very tough to have brought him down, you know. So there's kind of a little bit of a break on their end. Because, as I said, if they had not had to stop or have a little hitch route on that, he could have been gone to the house.
Arizona shows blitz. They'll back off as Wigmore fires, hits Irvin in stride again. Inside the 30 he goes, and finally rolled down by Parker Thomas. One more note on the last play defensively for the Vultures. They were top 10 in the league in interceptions this season with 16. Bolt had 0. No interceptions all regular season, and he's got the first takeaway here in the playoffs for Baltimore.
Amazing, isn't it? Really, you know, playoff football brings out the best of each and every one of these teams and these players, and you get in this atmosphere that we have today, and you start to see things that you really haven't seen the rest of the year. Just the attrition is so high right now.
7 combined catches, 110 combined yards for Irvin and Chima to start things off. This is as good of a duo as there is among wide receivers in the SFL. Daley Holder, the longtime Baltimore Vulture, moves out as Wigmore fires over the middle and nobody home. His first incompletion of the day, and that was about 10 yards too tall for Ivory Irvin.
Yeah, just, you know, trying to lead Irvin a little bit too far right there. As you said, first incompletion of the day. That's not bad. 2:13 left in the first half, and you just now have your first incompletion. Pretty good day at the office thus far.
I'd say so. One of the best in the league. 3-time All-Star for Wigmore over his first 6 seasons in the league. Former league MVP. Not bad for a guy who was brought into the league mid-season. Ended up captaining Baltimore to a championship in his first season in the league. Trying to do it again. And he will. Look, he looks like he's primed to do that. He recovers from his first incompletion with another dime. Irvin hauls that one in. Another gain of a dozen plus. And another first down.
They are just eating the yardage up today. You're not hearing 2 yard gain, 3 yard gain. No, it's 8, it's 10, it's 12, it's 15 yards a pass, and that is something that is very impressive that this Baltimore team does well. It's not dink and dunk; it's long strides down the field. They eat up a lot of yardage quick.
All but one of Wigmore's completions have gone for 10 plus, and the one that didn't went for 9 plus. You're watching the SFL presented by APM Music live on YouTube. Brilliant start for Wigmore. He's got his team inside the red zone once again. Tim Hackett and camera duty here with you for the third straight installment in the playoffs of Baltimore versus Arizona. Here's T-Roy Gaines, who's already got 2 scores today. Arizona's defense limits him to a gain of 2. Here is the Scorpion defense for Eddie Gage. On the line, D.D. Sachs, Alex Constantine, Hunter Norwood, and David Tilley. Linebackers, J.R. Lawless, Nathaniel Diggs, and Sean Moore. Corners, Ricky Robinson, Zachary Hamburger, Parker Thomas, and Everett Garrison, with safeties Iverson Gamble and Eddie Gage. A standout secondary to be sure, but they've had few answers for Wigmore and company so far tonight. Irvin in motion. Nobody goes to follow him. That's Garrison, number 44 on the bottom side. Wigmore with protection. End zone knocked away by Eddie Gage. He was going for Caesar Ackerman. And Gage with the first breakup of the night for the Scorpion defense.
Oh, man, what a nice job by Eddie Gage standing in there. Big-time players make big-time plays. And the importance is not lost on this Arizona defense, just exactly what a stop could mean right here. Let's put it that way. I mean, if you can stop them from getting into the end zone and hold them to a field goal attempt, that's huge at this junction of the game.
Like we said, Arizona had an interception in the end zone to finally kill off Minnesota last week. Looking for one here. Wigmore fires, and that is caught. Perfect pass from Wigmore. Mac Chima on the catch. Touchdown, Vultures.
Yeah, not to be denied. I mean, that's just really all that it comes down to. A great job by Baltimore. Again, as we talked about during this game, the early parts of it, no panic. They come right back to the drawing board. The first play doesn't work out. It's nicely defended by Gage. They go back to Chima again over, across the middle there, and this time they haul it in. So putting a little bit of separation from the Scorpions here as we get ready to head into halftime, Tim.
You mentioned that this has been the matchup in the last 3 postseasons. That kind of buries the lead a little bit because teams met up the last 2 postseasons. They've met up the last 2 championship games. Of course, both of those were wins for Baltimore. They have won the last 4 SFL championships, and it's kind of familiar territory for this Arizona franchise. They were in the first 2 SFL League championship games, seasons 1 and 2, and they have been in the last 2, the most recent 2 SFL championship games, season 19 and season 20. And unfortunately for this franchise, they have lost all 4 of those. They had to face the first SFL dynasty, the New York Knights, in season 1. The Knights won that game. Arizona were the OKC Renegades at that point. And now, of course, they're facing the most recent SFL dynasty, the Baltimore Vultures, who have won 5 out of the last 6, including, of course, 4 in a row, the last 2 of which have come over the Scorpions in the title game. Arizona trying to prevent Baltimore from even getting to the semifinal if they can win today. Moses with a gain of 4 to start things off. Liking the game so far? Then smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The SFL produces over 400 events a year. There's no one else that gives you more football. Don't miss a minute of SFL or SFLM action and help the channel grow through your support. Happy to have you all with us. Final minutes of the first half. Neither team has taken a timeout, so Arizona's got some time, you would think. They will give it to DJ Moses, and he gets stuck by Troy Loshaw. It's 3rd down.
Yeah, goodness gracious. I mean, really read their number there on that run, didn't they? Another thing that you mentioned too, Tim, kind of interesting to point out, talking about the statistics, the history of this matchup. Baltimore has had Arizona's number. Arizona has only beaten Baltimore 1 time. That was back in season 18 in the regular season, week 13.
That was a 3-point win for Arizona as well. They've lost every other time. Jackson hit as she throws, and it's a falling duck that sails right to the sticks. Nobody home for Arizona. Great hits on that throw, and it's 4th down. Baltimore's going to get the ball back.
They are going to get the ball back, and that is exactly what you did not want to do if you were Arizona. You wanted to at least try to milk this clock out so they wouldn't have an opportunity. 20 seconds is dangerous when you're this Baltimore Vultures team. They can do anything with that. So we'll see what happens here.
Kind of a low snap, and the punt away from Travius James, who joined this team in week 7 along with tight end Adam Grabowski. So a couple of midseason additions for Arizona. James punted 3 times against Minnesota last week. That's his second punt today. And like you said, KD, with this offense, passing game and running game in full effect tonight, 22 seconds, 3 timeouts. Yeah, you're on your own 37, but Baltimore's got a lot of options here. Enzo Bolts, the corner, had that hurry to force the incompletion for Jackson. They will run it to Gaines. Gaines runs right into his right tackle, however, and that might key us into what Baltimore is going to do the rest of this half, Cameron.
It looks like they're going to be pretty content to just kind of ride this one out, I would think, here. Certainly looking that way. No hurry unless they decide to surprise us here with one quick snap at the end of the half. We'll have to see what they do here.
My correction, it was D.D. Sachs on the pressure. They will snap it with 1 second left, and on a comeback route, it is tight end Jackson Roberts who makes his second catch of the first half. He had just 5 in the regular season. His second one goes for a gain of 6. Weird play to end the first half. That's the first time that Baltimore had the ball and did not score tonight, and they take a 10-point lead into the halftime locker room. Third straight postseason meeting between Baltimore and Arizona. Lived up to the hype so far. Vultures by 10 at the break, Cameron.
The difference coming is the interception that took place. That's really what changed the complexion of this second quarter. It was really, like we say, it was like a tennis match. I mean, just one served up a score, the other served up a score, and it was kind of going that way for a little bit there, each one matching each other stride for stride. The big interception there that Baltimore came up with, that really kind of changed things, and this Baltimore offense has continued to run seamless. And it's really hard, as we said, to stop a team that is just that cohesive. And that's what Arizona is going to have to try to do in this third and fourth quarter. Figure out a way to get Baltimore off the field, as you alluded to. The only reason they haven't scored, or they didn't score on that last possession, was because they run out of time. They've took it to the house every time since, at least a field goal or a touchdown. So Arizona's going to have to figure out a way to bring some pressure on Wigmore and company, or else this could be a long second half.
Arizona was one of the most balanced teams in the league this season. Elite offensively and defensively in just about every team stat. But Baltimore with the better of that first half in all phases, and they turned the only turnover into 7 points. Part of the reason for this 10-point difference as we start the second half. Baltimore will get the ball first. Daley Holder, the league veteran, on this return. Some space for Daley Holder out to the right sideline. No one else in your viewing picture. And Daley Holder, the 11-season Baltimore Vulture, kicks off the second half with a kick 6.
My goodness, we expected them, of course, to come out guns blazing. We knew when they got the ball to start the second half, it was going to be high octane, but I don't know that we expected this. We did a good call on that, Tim. You alluded to them kind of rotating out returners earlier in this game. They put Holder back there on that series and completely took it to the house, bounced right, out the right side there, and was gone. There wasn't even anybody in the same zip code as Daley Holder. Let's give credit to the great blocking there on special teams by this Baltimore Vultures team. That's a lot to take in 13 seconds into this quarter, but wow, they just extended that lead even more.
You talk about the locker room that this franchise has and how it kind of just trickles down from the top down. This franchise has been in the league for 11 seasons, and there are 4 people on this team. Just talking about players, forget anybody in the executive suite or anything. 4 players that have been a part of this franchise now for all 11 seasons, and we have seen all of them contribute to this game so far. T-Roy Gaines, Daley Holder, Giovanni Bolts, and Shark Tarkington. All of them are in season 11 with this team, and Gaines and Holder have combined for all of the touchdowns except one. Tarkington's got a field goal and 4 PATs. Bolt has the interception. The veterans are leading the way, and they're not done winning, I don't think. I don't imagine winning ever gets old, Cameron, but those guys have all obviously been part of all 5 Baltimore championships. They're hoping for number 6, and they've all done a yeoman's work to help lead the way to now a 17-point lead before Arizona can even sniff the ball in the second half. A crazy start for Daley Holder, who has really changed his role on this team over the years as well. Toss out to DJ Moses, not much doing there. Elijah Warfield with the hit, second down.
No, you're exactly right. You talk about the morale, the leadership, the veterans. The more that you win, I think the more you taste that success, the more you want it, the more that you strive each and every season. When you work in the off season to get to that, you put in just as much work in the off season as you do during the regular season, and it really shows with this team's preparation.
Ashley Jackson will fire into double coverage, knocked away. It'll be third down. Warfield again on that coverage, so he's involved on back-to-back plays. You mentioned the all-time series a few minutes ago, Cameron. Baltimore has a decided lead. They lead the all-time series 6-1, and they have never lost a game to Arizona here in Baltimore. But as a matter of fact, the last two matchups, both of which were in Season 20, of course, the Season 20 championship game as well, both of those were pretty convincing wins for Baltimore. 15 points or more both times a season ago, and a 17-point lead for them here. Third down, Jackson all day will go deep downfield and instead finds Giovanni Bolts, his second pick of the night. Flips out of a tackle, gets out of a second one to the sideline. He's brought down by James Hands. Bolt had no takeaways in the regular season. He has picked off Ashley Jackson twice tonight, and the Vultures are off to a flying start.
Yeah, this has just been an absolutely miserable first minute of this third quarter for Arizona, hoping to kind of hit the reset button and regroup heading into this third quarter, and it's just not happened. You had the big special teams play, and then right there, actually kind of trying to, maybe force it in there a little bit, obviously holding the ball, trying to find something open downfield, and just off its mark a little bit. You tend to do that when you get behind, and you have to try to keep pace with a team such as Baltimore. Just an unfortunate play right there, and that, of course, gives Baltimore really good field position here.
His name's Giovanni Bolts, and it's fitting because he's often the guy that puts charge into this Baltimore defense. I have called this team the Baltimore Vultures in the past, Cameron, because of how much he means. Great run for Warren Murray, his first real action of the night. He gets 8, and again, 0 takeaways for a top 10 takeaway team in the league. Arizona had a negative turnover differential, which is, for me, often a death knell in the SFL. Wasn't the case for many teams this year. There were a couple of teams that made the playoffs despite a negative turnover differential. And Arizona, obviously one of the best teams in the league despite a negative differential. And so far, two takeaways for Baltimore, looking to score off both of them as well. Second down and 2. Arizona stacks the line. They will hand it off to Murray, and Murray gets the first down, brings Sean Moore ahead up towards the 20-yard line. Another strong run for Warren Murray, showing you what he can do.
Another thing that you begin to look at, the way that this game is beginning to stretch out, Tim, is the fact that this Arizona defense is getting very tired. It goes back to the consecutive series that they were out there at the end of the first half. And now with this, they're really asked to do a lot. The offense right now not being able to really put any production together. They've had to stay out there against this high-powered offense, and it really does take a lot out of them. So they're being asked to do a whole lot right here and try to stop this Baltimore offense.
Haven't even played 2 minutes of this third quarter yet. Now we have, and Baltimore in striking distance again. Gaines is going to run right into his right tackle once again. Not the first time we've seen that tonight. That's Olivia Bleeker, who came over with Alden from the Jacksonville Kings. We've got 5 All-Star game appearances between the two of them in 8 combined seasons in the SFL, as Baltimore really revamped this offensive line, trying to do what Arizona has done and completely stack the offensive line. It's worked tonight. Wigmore, incomplete pass, hasn't happened very often, completely blown up by this Arizona defense. It was Murray on the target. Moore will get credit for the coverage, and it's third down.
Yeah, and that's a big stop right there. If you want to have any hope at stifling this offense for the moment, try to get them off the field, really maintain, just with a field goal attempt would be really good right here. If you're Arizona, of course, you got to get them off the field first, and that's no easy task.
Wigmore will keep them on the field. Daly Holder with the catch. That's his first of the day. Right after that kick 6, he gives Baltimore first and goal.
And it's discouraging. It's disheartening. I mean, it really is. If you're on defense like that, and you've got them held to 10 yards or more. We've even seen them come back after a big time sack there, and just gain all of that negative yards back in one swipe. Hard to contain a team like that, and really just putting on a clinic at the moment here.
Wigmore 16 of 19 so far tonight, including that touchdown to Mac Chima. which came from about this part of the field in the second quarter. 3 minutes expired in the third. Deep drop for Wigmore. Under pressure. He'll check it down short. Gaines has a convoy in front, and it will be a walk-in touchdown for T-Roy Gaines. His third of the night, and Baltimore is rolling.
Rolling indeed. They are ready to put this game to bed early tonight. And really, you take a look at it, it goes back to great productivity. Of course, a great offensive line that really makes a lot of it possible, and then great awareness, quarterback to receiver. In that case, right there, you had, T-Roy. Of course, he can catch them and run them in just as good as some receivers. So, stacked all across the board right there, and a nice job of Baltimore extending out this lead.
In 3 minutes and 2 seconds of game time, Baltimore scored 2 touchdowns, had an interception of Ashley Jackson, and turned a 10-point halftime lead into a 24-point lead with 7 minutes left in the third quarter. This is clinical from the best franchise in the SFL over the last couple of seasons.
And, you want to talk about productivity. The only Baltimore receiver without a catch right now, David Anderson. That's how well they've spread this ball around, Tim.
Not really a surprise either. Anderson only had 2 catches in the regular season, but the point is still extremely valid. They have spread it around extremely well, arguably more so even than they had in the regular season, because it's really been the Chima and Irvin show in the passing game for Wigmore, though obviously Murray and Gaines drew a lot of the headlines for what they did on the ground all season. But this passing offense has been extremely versatile, and Gaines, who caught 3 touchdowns in the regular season, with his first receiving touchdown of the playoffs. Arizona not dead yet by any means, but they need to get things started in a hurry. Jackson looking for a counterpunch. Instead, she throws a pick. Second straight interception by this Baltimore defense. Troy Loshaw's got that one. When it rains, it pours for the Scorps in Baltimore.
I think Troy Loshaw just simply took that pass away. Take a look at that. Oh, yeah. Just stepped right in front of that there. That's an even better angle than what I thought. That was intended for Donnie Hands, and Loshaw just read that one like a book, really blanketed Donnie Hands right there. So, Arizona is being asked a lot, as we have said. The running game is their bread and butter, and being down the deficit they are, they're having to go to the air, and Baltimore knows it, and they're like heat-seeking missiles right now.
T-Roy Gaines continuing to fire that missile. Great hit defensively from Parker Thomas to try to stop that. And to your point, Cameron, Arizona's barely had the ball in the second half, let's be honest, but when they haven't even had the opportunity to run the ball. Because, yes, they're trailing, and they're seeing those takeaways and Baltimore's touchdowns, so I think probably the idea on the sideline is let's punch right back just like we did in the first half, but instead of getting themselves back into the game, they've dug that hole even deeper. Have made this a really tough hill to climb. If you'll excuse all the extended metaphors, and that's an extended pass from Wigmore. I've seen that a couple of times from him tonight. It's been a nearly perfect day, but that pass, too much heat on it. It was Roberts on the target, third down.
Yeah, just a couple of times. Otherwise, like you said, a pretty much flawless game. To your point, Tim, that you were mentioning there, it does put a lot of pressure if you are Arizona, on the quarterback, on the offensive coordinator, trying to find a way to give yourself a spark right now just to get back in this game. And you really time becomes a factor as well, being down like they are. And it's a tough combination to crack.
That was a third down and 9, and Jack Wigmore hit Ivory Irvin. Gain of 16. Nothing has fazed this team so far tonight.
No, not at all. Third downs are just like first downs to them. And again, not to bring it up or to beat a dead horse, but, you're looking at a model of consistency with this team, on the quest for a 5-peat. And you wonder why, what it is that sets them head and shoulders above other teams in the past. And that's why. Great poise and just a great game plan.
Here's another great run. They will give T-Roy Gaines a first down. David Tilley, who's been a tremendous defensive tackle in this league, no answer. Tilley was dragged the last couple of yards. We're not even hold on. We will get a retroactive look at the play. What do you know? First challenge thrown by Eddie Gage, just trying really, Cameron, to do something to get his team a spark.
Yes, you read my mind exactly, Tim. Just trying to find something to slow this momentum, to slow this pace that they have begun to put up here, and that'll indeed do it right here. Just kind of stop things for a minute, get your defense a moment to breathe. Obviously, really, hoping that that spot is going to put them behind the chains, and it's going to be close. But I think the big thing, as you said, gives them a minute to breathe here.
No doubt. It was David Tilley along with Eddie Gage on the tackle. The ruling rather, has been overturned. Eddie Gage, the coach, you see him there, fist pumping. He's done his job, KD. It's going to be second and inches rather than first down, so it may not matter in terms of this possession, but in terms of the grand scheme of things, he's looking bigger picture on that to try to give his team something to look forward to.
Oh, definitely. Just give, you want to give your team another snap, really, to fight. As they say, an opportunity to find another day. Well, this is another snap to really keep them behind the line and maybe change the course of this drive.
Second and inches is better than first and 10, I guess. And Gaines says it's all in the wash. It's Tilley on the stop, but Gaines gets that first down just a couple of moments later than he originally thought.
Yeah, doing the ground and pound right now because already they're looking at chewing clock. And you can see the change really that took place. They went from, high flying, through the air to now going back to this sturdy run game, obviously eating up yardage and eating up time.
And Gaines is going to try to eat up this left sideline, leaves Everett Garrison in his wake, gets past Eddie Gage, and then thrown down by Parker Thomas at the 10-yard line. Another bruising run, a flashy run, a highlight reel run for T. Roy Gaines. He's been the superstar of all tonight. He's got over 120 yards, and Baltimore's got another first and goal.
All eyes was on T. Roy coming into this game, and really what more needs to be said. You know why. He's reliable, durable, dependable, and, sturdy. Let's put it that way. He's built like a Tonka truck, man. Hard to bring down, and the more he gets going, the harder it gets.
And he's been living up to his name. T. Roy Gaines, every play has been for positive yards. He scored 3 touchdowns. And he's got Baltimore on the 10-yard line. They'll toss it to him again. T. Roy Gaines around one defender and then gets thrown down from behind by Sean Moore, stopping a touchdown, at least for now. That replay was brought to you by Retroid, a retroactive look at the play. Get your SFL console at goretroid.com. And in none of Arizona's Sims on Retroid or otherwise watching this game and thinking about this game for the last week and probably since last year's championship, did they envision something like this? Gaines trying to turn those dreams into nightmares. Great hit defensively by Garrison, stopping that run, at least for now. Third down and goal.
Yeah, forcing them in the third down, a really nice job. These defensive guys still playing, really playing their hearts out, not letting in, not really giving in. Let's put it that way, Tim. I mean, they may be down, but don't count them out. They're fighting hard to stay in this game.
Third down and goal from the 3. Arizona needs another stop. Gaines breaks away. Can he get outside? Yes, he can. Never in doubt. Touchdown number 4 for T. Roy Gaines. Baltimore up by 30.
Sometimes I really don't know if there's enough players on the field to stop T. Roy Gaines. I mean, it takes definitely more than one. Take a look at that. Right there, left out on his lonesome was number 39 right there, Iverson Gamble, to try to bring down the big man. And it's usually a tandem effort to bring him down like that. So, a good job of T. Roy again using a head of steam right there. But a good effort by Gamble there on the outside to try to stay toe-to-toe with him.
Shark Tarkington with the PAT. It is up and good. 31-point difference. So 4 touchdowns from T. Roy Gaines, 4 PATs, and a field goal from Shark Tarkington. Those 2 franchise legends, 2 franchise Hall of Famers, they have combined for the difference in this game. Tarkington plus T. Roy equals 31-point difference for Baltimore, and they are on the cusp. Not just on the cusp, they appear to be fully over the line en route to another berth in the SFL semifinals, which start next Sunday night. The winner of this game will be a road team next week and play Fort Worth, the unquestioned number 1 team in the league this year, the only undefeated team in the league this year. Won a good game yesterday to get into the semifinals. We saw Alamo City outlast Canton earlier tonight. That was a fun game. Florida, which has been one of the best teams in the last half of the league in the regular season, won last night as well. So those are your final 3 teams. Number 1, Fort Worth. Number 2, Florida. Number 3, Alamo City. And number 4, Baltimore, looking to make it a straight chalk semifinals. And a year of unpredictability. Seems as if that might be a fitting finish. DJ Moses, this is just Arizona's 5th offensive play of the second half, and thank you to our stats team for that. And it gets a gain of 4 for DJ Moses.
I think that right now you want to start small. Just try to find some momentum. Try to get a sustained drive here if you're Arizona. As you said, just the 6th play now, in the books for Arizona. So they really, really need to just try to have a sustained drive against this defense.
Nothing doing there for Moses. We mentioned these 2 teams were 1 and 2 in the league in rushing in terms of team yards pretty much all season long. Just a couple of weeks ago, Baltimore was number 1 and Arizona was number 2, but that was before DJ Moses rushed for 377 yards and an SFL record 8 touchdowns against Denver. And I know Jeremy Vega is watching this game right now, so sorry to you for reminding you of that. But that put Arizona in the number 1 spot, and they haven't looked back. Jackson's pass knocked away, intended for Donnie Hands. That is Ben Stackenpaper once again on the coverage. All-star last season for Baltimore with a stop on 3rd down. And not even the league's best running offense has had any answer for Baltimore here in the second half.
No, they have completely decimated this offense beginning this second half here. Honestly, it is it's something how they've really been able to lock down. They were able to move the ball pretty well to begin this thing, and it's just kind of went south ever since.
Here goes Ivory Irvin. If he could do another, oh man, he very nearly was for yet another thing to cheer about. Daley Holder started off the 3rd quarter with a kick return touchdown. That's one of the best punt returns I have seen in the league this year. The punt returns have been hard to come by in the league this season, I feel like, and strong return there for Irvin. Baltimore will start off on the 42. It's just amazing what this franchise has been able to do year in and year out. I should say season in and season out, but for when it comes to Baltimore, it is year in and year out, because calendar year after calendar year, they are the team to beat. Again, the number 4 seed in the playoffs this season. They are not your betting favorites, but with a performance like this, they might change some of those odds as Gaines gets absolutely trucked by J.R. Lawless. That's his first negative play of the day, a loss of 1.
Yeah, just hard to go against a team with that record of success as they have. Real quick, I would like to mention something that was passed along to me, it being Veterans Day weekend. Wide receiver Ivory Irvin, who we just mentioned, served 15 years in the Navy as well. So, commendable right there. Thanks for your service as well, Mr. Irvin. Thought I'd point that out as a nice little side info here during this game, Tim.
Yeah, the military is tied in intrinsically to the SFL, as Cameron Irvine will tell you, the league commissioner and our producer tonight. And they talked about it on the previous game, Chris Curtis and John Warren in the Alamo City broadcast. And obviously, the military has direct tie-ins a lot to that franchise and really every franchise in the league in one way or another. As Wigmore's pass is intercepted, Arizona finally trying to turn the tide. Sean Moore with the takeaway. Just the 5th incompletion tonight for Wigmore. And that might help to set things straight for the Scorpions.
Yeah, that's certainly going to help things. That's going to slow down Baltimore's attack, at least for a little while, and really give you something to really pat your back on if you're Arizona. This defense, we got to give them credit, man. They have been out there the majority of this 3rd quarter, and they're still fighting, coming up with the big turnover right there, and just a really nice job of Moore continuing to dig and give his team some good field position here.
Just barely on their side of midfield. DJ Moses will get the Scorpions to their side of midfield. Sean Moore, middle linebacker, had 2 interceptions in the regular season. He's got one here now in the postseason as Arizona tries to flip that turnover differential. Again, -2 on the balance of the regular season so far tonight. -2. Funny how things work. Gain of 1 for Moses. They'll toss it out. Can he finally get going? Not this time. Again, he was the number 1 tailback in the league this season, surely on the way to an all-star appearance. It would be his 3rd and his 2nd in a row if that happens. league's leader in rushing yards, but Minnesota shut him down. And again, a 4-8 team known for being kind of tenacious, the Minnesota legend. They kept Moses to just 63 rushing yards. So far tonight, we unofficially have him at 75. So a little bit better, no doubt, but nowhere near up to his amazingly lofty standards. 150 rushing yards through 2 games as Jackson hits a man in stride. Great throw. Ryan Arlovsky, the rookie receiver, with his first catch tonight. First down, Arizona.
Yeah, a nice job right there by Jackson with the nice completion, the route over the middle right there. Watch you just kind of breaking on that route and getting in front of the receivers. Talking about Moses, the 70-plus yards that he has in this game tonight, the majority of that came early in the game, very early in the game, as a matter of fact. The first 2 to 3 series. Yeah, exactly.
20-yard run on the first play, you're 100% right, has been limited every time since. You'll try to run it. That's kind of how that first play went until it's not how that first play went. Loshaw stops him after a gain of 2. You're 100% right, Cameron, and we thought that was going to set the scene for a real running back committee battle, but if that's been the battle, it has been all gains with a little sprinkling of Warren Murray to help lead the way to a 31-point lead for Baltimore, looking to get on step 1 towards their 5th straight SFL championship game. Fourth quarter is next. This is the SFL presented by APM Music on YouTube.
The Simulation Football League is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or account of the game without the express written consent of the league office is prohibited.
Welcome back to Sports Gamers Online Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. Check out sportsgamersonline.com or check them out on YouTube and see why millions visit their website and YouTube channel. Thanks for visiting our YouTube channel tonight. If you're watching live or wherever you're watching, Tim Hackett, Broadcast Analyst of the Year, Karen Duty with you here from Sports Gamers Online Stadium. As Moses with a bruising run, he will drag Keenan Samuels over the magic yellow line, and they will give Moses a first down.
Yes, they will, and that's great positivity right there. Take a look at this. Again, as we said, they're down, but they're continuing to fight, continuing to try to scratch and claw for every inch that they can, starting to finally put a sustainable drive together. Right now, as we said, time really not on their side, but you really want to end this game on a positive note, being able to get back in the end zone against these guys and just step by step. That's really where you got to take it right now.
From the 26, here's number 25, decent carry. You just saw his official stats on the screen a moment ago. That'll give him exactly 100 rushing yards. He's averaging a little bit around 5 yards per carry. Those are objectively very good numbers. They're unquestionably better than what he did last week against Minnesota, but it's been nowhere near good enough because Baltimore has just been that much better than Arizona in literally every phase. Offense, defense, and special teams. Moses has been good. Jackson has had her moments. Just about every standout wide receiver has made an impact on this game. Williams has a touchdown as a fullback, but it hasn't mattered. Moses, right up the middle, past Giovanni Bolt, first down, Moses to the 15-yard line.
It goes without saying, but you really have to play an absolutely 100% perfect game to beat Baltimore, especially when they are in this mode that they're in right now, this late season, postseason mode that they so often find themselves in. When they are dialed in like this, it's tough to stop them. And you said Arizona has had great moments all throughout, this game, especially a lot taking place in the first half. But even at that, still not enough. Why? The turnovers, for one, when they got behind the 8 ball, it's just tough. It turns into a foot race, Tim. And it's very hard to keep up with the feet of Murray and T. Roy Gaines. You know what I'm saying? So.
No doubt. Once these vultures start to take off, they are very hard to ground, especially for a team that lives in the desert like the Scorpions. It is really tough to catch up to these vultures. They have not been able to do so far in the second half. Jackson trying to change it. Instead, she throws her 4th pick. Returnable for Loshaw. It's AJ on the hit, stopping what could have been a touchdown for the other Troy Loshaw. 4th takeaway by these Baltimore safeties, and that might be the first nail in the coffin.
And making it very difficult right here for her to see the field. I mean, at this point, as you said, throwing another interception. They have really, with the coverages that they're bringing, it's been difficult. She's really been decimated. No good upfield vision for Ashley right now in this game, unfortunately, and that's because of really the pounding that they have put on her this entire game.
Fourth total takeaway, 2 by Bolt, 2 by Loshaw tonight. Late handoff, T-Roy Gaines with a lot of running room and a gain 7 for Gaines. I neglected to mention it on that receiving touchdown that Gaines had because he had an amazing set of blockers in front of him. So here's the opportunity for us to just shout out this Baltimore offensive line because they have been stellar tonight. We mentioned that Eddie Gage always shouts out his offensive line because he knows enough to know how important they are to Arizona's success. You know that Baltimore's brass is extremely adept at, and extremely knowledgeable about what it takes to win games in this league. Nobody better than those two guys, TJ and T-Pat as they are called. And this offensive line that they have constructed along with T-Roy Gaines has been masterful as Warren Murray gets the first down. They have really remade it. There's 4 new members of the offensive line. Beg your pardon, all 5 members of the offensive line are new to this franchise. You got 3 rookies. Ray Arnold, who was the 8th overall pick in the most recent draft. Jay Arnold joins, undrafted rookie. Don Johnson, the center. You get a look at her there, number 53 in the black and red, undrafted rookie. And then they bring in league standouts, Olivia and Alden Bleeker, to help fill out the ranks as Gaines absolutely obliterates Iverson Gamble and gets a first down. Another bruising run, fullback style run for Gaines. And you don't need a superstar offensive line when you got Gaines doing things like that.
Yeah, I tell you what, he certainly does. As we said, he carries the load and is really a self-contained running back there to do a nice job on that. But, you know, you talk about this offensive line, too, and what they have been able to do. The protection that they have gave Jack Wigmore to the point that, as we said, just a handful of incompletions today. He has had all the time in the world to look, to make well-timed, well-thought-out passes, and it shows, man.
Oh, Gaines absolutely obliterates Gamble again, and I think he will be okay if I steal his catchphrase. He just sent Gamble to the shadow realm. Another first down run for Gaines. He's been unstoppable.
Yeah, I feel really bad for Gamble. I think they're going to have to bring in some kind of crane to lift him up out of the hole that's in that turf right there. I mean, it's bad. They buried him on that one. But, you know, T-Roy he's so physical. I mean, my goodness. Just watching this guy, so much fun to watch, obviously, because of the physicality that he can play with, too. And, you know, I'd hate to be the guy that's staring him down when he's coming head on at you.
Yeah, and Gamble has been on the last 2 plays, and he's a league great, but has had nothing to say. There's another league great, Eddie Gage, with a nice response. It's Warren Murray who he had to tackle. Bit of a different back, to be sure, but Gage stops Murray for a gain of 1. For all the league highlights, photo galleries, major and minor league stats and leaderboards, community content, and so much more, check out the league's website at simulationfl.net, presented by Football Shift. Stay up to date and explore our past, present, and future. Baltimore's all 3 of those, it feels like, and Wigmore's pass knocked away from Mac Chima. Great coverage by Parker Thomas, formerly perhaps the best slot corner in this league, now an outside cornerback, and as he becomes a league standard, he has become a big piece of this team now in his 9th season with this franchise. Great play, third down.
Yeah, absolutely. A very loyal and dependable figure for this Arizona team all 9 seasons.
As they've moved Iverson Gamble back to safety, that paved the way for Thomas to take over a role on the outside. Wigmore, sidearm sling, and Daly Holder makes the catch over top of a defender for the Scorpions, and the longtime Vulture had that kick 6 earlier has got a first down here. Perfect throw.
Perfect throw indeed. Take a look at that, man. Perfect spiral as well, too. Perfect, looked like a 3-step drop right there, and just was able to sling that one in, as only Jack Wigmore can do. So, you know, as we said, another good day for Wigmore. Just great consistency. As we said, tip of the hat to these receivers and this offensive line for making his job a lot easier, too.
From the 25, Gaines gets through a couple of defenders and then is finally pushed down from behind by D.D. Sachs, a gain of just 1. And Wigmore has been really, really good this season as well. Across the line, most of his numbers aren't amazing, but he is 8th in passing yards, 4th in touchdowns. He's thrown twice as many touchdowns as interceptions this season. He's got a quarterback rating like a radio station, 100.7 QBR, better than that tonight, and that'll drop a little bit there as he overcooks his target over the middle of the field. Unofficially, his quarterback rating tonight over 117. He's been almost perfect.
He really has been, and if anything, probably the reason for the numbers not being as stellar or standout is because you have T-Roy Gaines in the backfield. And it's things like that. When you have a backfield such as that, you really just have to be consistent and not turn the ball over.
He's only done that once tonight, and his pass intended for Holder knocked away. Well, Iverson Gamble gets out of the shadow realm, brings himself out of that deep hole that he got thrown into by T. Roy Gaines, just in the nick of time to come up and put the hit on Daly Holder. Perfect timing to break up that pass. It's 4th down.
Yeah, a great job right there, too, of continuing to fight and pursue there. Nice job of Gamble knocking that one away. And here's something that we haven't seen too much of tonight in this game, which is a field goal attempt.
Just the second one tonight for Shark Tarkington. The ageless wonder, 40-yard attempts is good, and Baltimore has failed to score on only 2 possessions tonight. The end of the first half and the interception from Wigmore. Otherwise, they have scored every single time.
Yeah, they have. It's been impressive, just about as impressive as anything as I've seen in recent memory. And you talk about taking notice, a good number of folks obviously watching the game and will catch in on the action a little bit later on, I'm sure. But what this is doing is putting the entire league and its viewers and teams on notice. Baltimore's still for real.
8 scores on 10 possessions, and that doesn't count the kick return touchdown for a score by Daly Holder to help make up this 34-point lead. And to your point, Cameron, you and I were talking a little bit about it before the game. This is my personal opinion. I've had the privilege of seeing Baltimore in person a lot over the years. My first season in the league was season 15. It's not about me, so I'm not talking about me, but Baltimore won the league title that season in season 15. So since I have been here, I know almost nothing besides Baltimore winning league championships. They've won 5 of the 6 since then, on pace to get to the semifinals here and try to win 6 out of 7, including 5 in a row. Anybody who's newer to the league than me barely knows anything besides Baltimore winning championships. And so far, so good here in season 21, as Jackson's pass is incomplete, intended for Ryan Arlovsky. That season 16, Denver won that one. It was a mini dynasty for them, but then Baltimore won in season 17. 2 out of 3 for them, and since then it has been all Vultures every single year. They're 9-3 this year. That's a down year in the regular season compared to what they're used to. That was the same record they had last year after multiple 10-plus wins seasons in a row, but it didn't matter once they got to the playoffs. The last few seasons, they are 16-1 in the postseason over those last 6 seasons since I've been here in season 15. 16-1. About to make it 17-1. Jackson trying to change that. Wide open is Donnie Hands. Up the sidelines he goes, gets away from Loshaw, and Bolt escorts him out of bounds. A bright spot for Arizona. Longest pass play of the day for either team. Arizona's inside the 30.
And a very good job right there by Hands. And you know what? As you said, great statistic there, Tim. And as you said, talking about just the success that Baltimore has been able to put together. Let's also give a call to Arizona. I want to stop and just say another great year. I mean, they didn't get to this position there by happenstance. A lot of hard work that went into that, and really, truly a season to be proud of. And they continue to fight, and they want to go out on a high note here, punching this thing into the end zone. But 9-3 coming into it, winning in the wild card round. A lot to be proud of, and a lot to build on too. I think their future is very bright.
I've said before, I think this is one of the best run franchises, best run teams in the league. Jackson fires, knocked away. Great coverage by Loshaw over the middle, intended for tight end Will Todd. We saw Loshaw get burned on that last play. Not that time. Great stop. Second down from inside the 25. But to your point, Katie, I mean, I've said it before. I have immense respect for Eddie in terms of what he does with this team. And off the field, I think everybody in the league has a lot of respect for Ashley Jackson. And there's a lot of people involved in this franchise that do things the right way, if you will. And this is one of the best teams year in and year out in the last few seasons. And they're a staple in the postseason as well. That pass just a little bit too tall from Jackson. Airmails her target that time. It was again Will Todd. It'll be 3rd down and 10. And Arizona, they have been here before as well. They didn't even get to 500 between seasons 3 and season 15, but they've now made the playoffs in 4 out of the last 5 seasons, and they've won a game every single time. And they won last week, so they already have a playoff win this season. This is an SFL staple as Arlovsky makes that catch around the coverage of Elijah Warfield. And Ryan Arlovsky, who had just 3 catches in the regular season, has been a big piece of this second half. It's 1st and goal.
And right there, talking about Arlovsky, this team has some young players on it that they certainly can build around. Arlovsky being one of them. You look at fullback Justin Williams, he's 5 seasons in, but, at the same time, still getting acclimated to this system as this just his second season with the team. So they're going to continue to build. They're going to continue to grow in their chemistry. And like we've said, I think, like as you mentioned, a lot to be proud of just at the staple of excellence that they have really put together.
Empty backfield from the 2-yard line, and Jackson's pass is caught by Donnie Hand, who had the winning touchdown in the final 90 seconds last week. He's into the end zone here in the quarterfinals. Touchdown Arizona. They're on the board in the second half.
Yeah, a nice little route, just a quick cut in right there, getting a step on the defender and allowing Ashley Jackson to have enough time to place a really nicely thrown football right there in his hands. And yeah, again, hey, I hadn't got to say a pun for the last little bit, so I was due one, Tim.
We've been too serious. Yeah, you're right. Throw in some puns. Why not? It's your duty.
Exactly, and I take my duties seriously. So enough of that. But you know what, though, really, though, like you said, Tim, it all goes down to positivity. And look here, still fighting, trying to claw back into this game.
You got to. This is your last chance. It goes right, though, into the hands of one of the members of the Baltimore special teams units. No, not even the Hands team was able to do anything about that one. 3 touchdowns in 2 weeks for Donnie Hands. You saw him on the sideline. He scored 7 in the regular season, so he's been fantastic here in the postseason, but hasn't been enough for Arizona tonight. So we've talked about it a little bit. This is the best rushing team in the league, number 1 in rushing as a unit this season. Arizona, 233 per game. They were number 1 in the league last season as well. In the last era of the SFL, 130 rushing yards per game. So number 1 in the league in back-to-back years, but this year upped their output by 100 yards per game. Not 100 yards total, 100 yards per game. And Warren Murray's going to get 11 on that run. Gamble on the stop. It just goes to show you how much better teams in the league have been running the football this season. I really don't think there's a better example than what Arizona and Baltimore have done this season. If Arizona or if any team rushed for 130 yards per game on average this season, that would have been 22nd in the league in a 27-team league. Motor City averaged 133 yards per game as a team. That was 21st. So if Arizona did what they did last season, this season that would have been 22nd. It was best in the league last year. So they said, all right, let's up our output by 100 yards per game and lead the league in rushing. They've rushed for about 130 yards today, ironically enough, and they are down by 27. Seems kind of appropriate to hold a team to 100 yards under their average. You're going to have a good time if you're Baltimore. And Gaines has had a very good time tonight, but Moore has the better of that play. No Gaines, second down.
Yeah, and what's really been fun about this, seeing the emergence of this running game again in the SFL, is that it brings it back to really an old school style of football that to be honest, a lot of other leagues outside of here has really kind of got away from. That's become so pass oriented and pass heavy. But it's a lot of fun seeing this ground and pound attack come back, and there's just a finesse to a running game that you have to appreciate as a football fan. And it's nice to see it continue to cultivate here in this entire community of this entire league.
It definitely feels like a bit of a throwback in that sense. You're 100% right, and that has been Gaines very much a throwback player in this league. Gained a 5 there. Baltimore has been a super balanced offense all season long. And you mentioned that really at the top of the show, Cameron, so when we were outlining these two teams. 5th in the league in points per game, 10th in passing yards, 2nd in rushing yards behind only Arizona, as we've documented. 1st in total yards, 459 yards of offense per game. One of just 3 teams in the league to be top 10 in both passing and rushing. Vancouver and Seattle were the other 2. No surprise, all 3 of those teams were in the postseason. And this is the first time that Baltimore has led the league in total yards, 460 on average. They are over that tonight against a great Arizona defense. Let the clock run down. Gaines again. Can he make it a full 5? He will get that extra 5 yards at least. Hasn't had the 5th touchdown yet. Gamble can't stop him from getting the first down.
No, and that's going to take us right down to that 2-minute warning. And you got to imagine just how gassed this Arizona defense really does have to be. We have seen more of them in the second half than anything. Obviously, the offense is not really able to put together many sustained drives. So definitely getting a little wore out in this one as we wind down to the end.
2 minutes left in regulation. Baltimore, step one towards league title number 6. This is the SFL presented by APM Music, live on YouTube. Happy to have you with us. Baltimore, all business, especially after halftime, looking to cap things off. Here's Warren Murray, able to shift up ahead, and Murray pushed down after a gain of about 4. Arizona allowed the 7th fewest points per game, 4th most points scored on offense, 3rd in point differential, outscoring opponents by an average of just under 11 points per game this season. 3 losses this season in the regular year, combined total of 12 points. 1 6-point loss and 2 3-point losses. They have not been in a situation like this all season, and they have had no answer once Baltimore has opened up that big hole. Really, on the first play of the second half, doesn't even count as a play from scrimmage. Kick return touchdown by Daley Holder provided a big difference, and Arizona has had no response, really.
No, they haven't. And talking about this matchup and leading into this matchup, the way that Baltimore really has decimated this Arizona team as the game has went on. You know, Arizona was not a team that came in here stuttering. Sometimes you see this type of score from a team that maybe had a rough end to the regular season and just kind of came in running on about 50% or running on fumes. That's not the case. I mean, Arizona, they didn't lose after week 9. You know, so they were really a fine-tuned, well-oiled machine. And, of course, we know about Baltimore as well. They didn't lose after week 7 against Motor City. And, you know, but that just goes to show you right there, both of these teams, they came in prime playing the best football that they had played all season. And just in the end, you know, Baltimore, then they weren't even phased by the off week either, Tim. I mean, just picked right up where they left off.
No doubt about it, and that's been the argument in a lot of different leagues over the last year or so. Is you get that first round bye, is that actually a killer? Is that not something that you should shoot for? The Baltimore's had a week off. They had to see Arizona escape the number 12 seed and a 12-team playoff last week in Minnesota just to get to this point. Barely won that game, and what was really a thriller. I'm sure what people expected last week, and frankly, we were expecting a thriller this week. Didn't quite get it. Baltimore with a 10-point lead at half. They have opened things up here in the second half. Arizona finally scored a few minutes ago through Donnie Hands, and it's going to be the 3rd straight lopsided win for Baltimore in this all-time series. They will be undefeated against Arizona at home, 7-1 against the Scorpions all-time. And it's not the first time that this league has seen a situation like this, as SFL historian Cameron Irvine was telling us before the game. We were kind of looking into the history books and saw that there was another situation where the 2 teams met up in 2 straight league championship games and then met in the next season in the quarterfinals. Seasons 10 and 11, Tallahassee and Alaska played in the SFL championship game. Alaska won both of those, and then they met up the next season, season 12, in the quarterfinals. And I asked Cameron Irvine, did the same team win all 3 times? He said yes. Alaska won all 3 of those meetings. Baltimore is going to do the same thing here. Alaska won the championship all 3 of those seasons. Baltimore is going to try to do it again. A big second half from the Baltimore Vultures. They've got win number 1 on their quest to an unprecedented 5 straight SFL championships. The 3rd straight postseason meeting between these 2 storied SFL franchises. They're all going the way of the Vultures. Baltimore wins big to move on into the semifinals.
And that's going to wrap it up right there, Tim. As you mentioned, they're a great game. Of course, 2 big games coming up next week to look forward to, with Alamo City of Florida at 6:30 on Sunday the 19th. And also later on that night at 9 p.m., number 4 Baltimore and number 1 Fort Worth. So good game to both, right, Tim? Congratulations to both of these teams on a really good season. Arizona's stop, you know, it ends here. Their trek ends at this game. Baltimore will continue. You take a look at the output, Tim, and really, I'm just going to say real quickly here, my friend, I don't know how you go away from T-Roy Gaines for player of the game. Just an incredible workhorse. But in the end, a good game by Baltimore all the way around. I'll let you have the final thoughts, my friend. It has been a privilege calling the game with you.
Right back at you, sir. We're privileged to have you in this league with us. Congratulations on your recognition season. Very, very well deserved.
Thank you.
$10 super chat from Eddie Gage in the YouTube chat. I don't think he wants me to do an impression of him at this point, but I'll just hit you the highlights. Apologies for embarrassing us like this. I'm going to continue to grind until we get better. Until we get that elusive ring, excuse me. It won't come this season. $5 super chat from linebacker Sean Moore. Love you more, coach. In reference to Eddie Gage. Wears his heart on his sleeve. And you know that heart will be bleeding a little bit tonight as Arizona comes up short against Baltimore for the third straight postseason. Semifinals are set. Baltimore versus Fort Worth, Alamo City versus Florida. The top 4 seeds are the final 4 left standing. Baltimore wins again in their quest for their 5th straight league title. That'll do it for us tonight. For our statisticians, Zach Hamburger, Justin Reside, Rochelle Colston, and Cameron Irvine in the studio, and my partner, Cameron Duty, I've been Tim Hackett. It's been a pleasure being with you this season. Thanks for joining us. Semifinals next Sunday night right here on YouTube. We'll see you then. Until then, so long.